has that brains to understand, he should understand his relationship. He should make the relationship with the Supreme Lord active. For that, we need to understand what am I, what the Supreme Lord is. This understanding is missing. Otherwise, everything is existing. That otherwise, the technical sambandha is there. Just that understanding of that sambandha, that I am the Jivera Swarupa Krishnera Nityadas. I am supposed to do this for the Supreme. This understanding is the thing that is missing. So Mahaprabhu gave this core understanding to Sanatana Goswami, which in turn was finally given to everybody. That is the Sambandha, establishing of the Sambandha. 22.4. Now, Sumati Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Edeka hi shuna abhideya lakshana yaha haite pai Krishna Krishna premadhana. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Now I shall speak about the characteristics of devotional service by which one can attain the shelter of Krishna and his loving transcendental service. Hare Krishna Mataji.
So now he is establishing how we can understand that, establish that relationship, how we can understand that relationship. And that is the characteristics of bhakti. Bhakti means devotional service, by which one can attain the shelter of Krishna and his loving service. That is, when we serve Krishna, we get the mercy of Krishna, and we get a chance to serve him, means by which we can enter the shelter, mercy and service. That is, character of devotional service means to get service and mercy of Lord Shri Krishna. Next, Shobha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, text 5.
Yeah.
Krishna Bhakti Abhideya Sarva Shastikaya Ata Yeva Muni Gana Pariyache Nishchaya. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. A human being's activities should be centered only on devotional service to Lord Krishna. That is the verdict of all Vedic literatures, and all saintly people have firmly concluded this. Haribol, Dandavat Pranam.
So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained the Sambandha Jnana, who is Krishna, who is living entity, what is the position of Krishna, what are the Chaturvyuha, what is Karana, what are the different Mahavishnus, and what is the spiritual world, and where are we, and what is the position of the material world, and how we in the material world can go to that spiritual world, and what is the size of the spiritual world, the opulences of the spiritual world, the size of the material world, the situation of the material world, opulence of Krishna. All this is clearly told. Then what is that, and where are we, and who is he, and what are we, and how to establish, and what is that relationship between us and Krishna, that he explained. Now he's telling a human being actually understand that how to achieve, how to develop, establish that relationship is through the process of devotional service. This is very simple to understand in normal terms, that a husband and wife are married. This is some gross example, okay? It is not that one-on-one example, but some kind of understanding if you want to have. Husband and wife is there. Husband and wife, so there is a relationship between them. That is, he is the husband, he is the wife, Purusha, whatever, however we call it. And now to develop that relationship, then there is something, the concept of service that is included. That service is the husband towards his wife and the wife towards his husband. So that is in the material world. But when it comes to spiritual world, when it comes to the Lord, it is the jiva who has to serve Krishna to attain the mercy of Lord Shri Krishna. So that process is devotional service. That is the abhideya process that is going to be explained now. Sumati Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Shrutir Mata Prishta Dishati Bhavadaradana Vidim Yatha Matur Vani Smritirapi Tata Vakti Bhagini Puranadhyayeva Sahaja Nivahaste Tadanuga Atha Satyam Yatam Murahara Bhavaneva Sharanam. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. When the mother Vedas, Shruti, is questioned as to whom to worship, she says that you are the only Lord and worshipable object. Similarly, the corollaries of the Shruti Shastras, the Smriti Shastras, give the same instruction, just like sisters. The Puranas, which are like brothers, follow in the footsteps of their mother. O enemy of the demon Mura, the conclusion is that you are the only shelter. Now I have understood this in truth. Purport: this quotation from the Vedic literature was spoken to the Lord by a great sage. Hare Krishna.
So the great sages in the Vedic literatures have glorified the Supreme Lord, telling that through the Shrutis, through the Smritis, through the Puranas, through all the Vedic literatures, the only understand the gist of all, essence of all the understanding is, oh Supreme Lord, the conclusion is that you are the only shelter for everyone that exists. You are the only shelter, and you are the only person who can actually give mercy to the all everybody around. So we need to take shelter of you, like that. In that kind of a glorification, the great sages have told, which has been told. The point is, we need to render to we need to aspire to develop or strengthen our relationship with the Supreme Lord through the process of devotional service. That is the essence of this, because mercy of the Supreme Lord is the only thing that is permanent, and that is something which you have to look forward. Other things may be there, may not be there, can come, can go. If it comes, we can use it for devotional service. If it does not come, that is the mercy of the Supreme Lord also. But something which we need to aspire very strongly in one pointed attention is for the service of the of the Supreme Lord, so that in return we are we get the mercy of the Lord and the devotees. Shobha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Advaya Jnana Tattva Krishna Swayam Bhagavan Swarupa Shakti Rupe Tanahaya Avasthana. Translation by Vedanta Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Krishna is the non-dual absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although he is one, he maintains different personal expansions and energies for his pastime. Read the purport.
Yes.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Lord has many potencies and he is non-different from all potencies, all these potencies, because the potencies and the potent cannot be separated. They are identical. Krishna is described as the source of all potencies, and he is also identified with the external potency, the material energy. Krishna also has internal potencies or spiritual potencies, which are always engaged in his personal service. His internal potency is different from his external potency. Krishna's internal potency and Krishna himself, who is the potent, are always identical. Haribol, thank you much.
So here we understand that there is the Krishna's potency, Krishna himself, they are not different. Like it is told that every part of Krishna can act as every other part, that he can eat through his eyes, he can see through his hands, like that. So they are not, everything is Chinmay. Similarly, in the spiritual, every atom is Chinmay. Everything is spiritual, everything has life, everything can understand, everything renders service. And we also understand that when he tell us Krishna, we have understood previous 20th chapter, 21st chapter, we have heard about his internal potency and his external potency and his marginal potency, and how we living entities are part of the marginal potency, and how we have the choice to choose between the internal potency and the external potency. And when we are engaged deep in devotional service, we take internal potency, we go towards the internal potency. All these things we have read in the 20th and 21st chapter. Point is, even the external potency, that is the material energy, anyways, all his potency, that his energies of Krishna and he himself, they are not different. Like suppose I have say now, suppose this is my thing. When I tell, that thing and me are different, but for Krishna everything is he only. So when it comes to external energy, the internal potency and external potency are not same. But the Maya world, the material world, which is a part of the external potency, also works because it is an energy of Krishna, but where directly Krishna's involvement is not there, but it is an energy of Krishna. So in that way, everything that exists is under Krishna is only the only cause of all causes. In that way, he is everything that exists, everything happens by Krishna's will. But when it comes to the material world, there is no direct interfering or direct involvement of Krishna in the activities of the material world. That is taken care by his external energy. But when a devotee who is living in the external energy performs devotional service and takes shelter of the Lord, that time Krishna personally takes care of that devotee who is still situated in the material world, that is in his external potency, because the jiva by itself is internal part of the internal potency, because so only jiva is what you call is eternal. But the jiva has got a body, the body which is material, and we have body mind intelligence which is also material, and through our mind and intelligence we can choose through the free will to take shelter of Maya or take shelter of Krishna. In that way, because the soul gets conditioned in this situation, then he can become a part of the external energy. And but when he chooses to take shelter of Krishna, then Krishna's internal potency acts over him. Not to worry so much, but we can only understand that we need to take shelter of Krishna, and the process is through devotional service. This much is only the simple. This is all we have to understand. So much detail, it's okay if we don't understand. Uma Devi Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण माताजी. स्वांश विभिन्नांश रूपे हान विस्तार अनंत वैकुंठ ब्रह्मानंदे ब्रह्मांडे ब्रह्मांडे करेण विहार. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Krishna expands himself in many forms. Some of them are personal expansions and some are separate expansions. Thus, he performs pastimes in both the spiritual and the material worlds. The spiritual worlds are the Vaikuntha planets and the material universes are the Brahmandas, gigantic globes governed by Lord Brahma. Hare Krishna Mataji.
So he sometimes performs pastimes in both spiritual material worlds. That is when Krishna comes as Krishna in Bhauma Vrindavan, when he took birth. Apparently, Bhauma Vrindavan, although it is part that is geographically it is situated in this material world, but it has all the potential of the spiritual world Vrindavana only. And when Krishna comes there, so spiritual worlds are Vaikuntha and the material worlds are Brahmanda's gigantic globe is governed by the Lord Brahma. So material world is governed by Lord Brahma, but he performs pastimes both in the spiritual as well as material worlds. Padma Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danda Pranam. Vamshavisthara Chaturvyuha Avatara Gana Vibhinamsha Jiva Tantra Sakti Te Ganana. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Expansions of his personal self, like the quadruplet manifestations of Shankarshana, Pradyamna, Aniruddha and Vasudeva, descend as incarnations from Vaikuntha to this material world. The separated expansions are the living entities. Although they are expansions of Krishna, they are counted among his different potencies. Papa Dosa Mataji?
Yes.
Papa Dosa Prabhupada. The personal expansions are known as Vishnu Tattva, and the separated expansions are known as Jiva Tattva. Although
you are not loud, only for me, for everybody. You are not sufficiently loud.
Okay, I'll speak loudly. The personal expansions are known. Okay, Mataji, now?
Yes.
The personal expansions are known as Vishnu Tattva, and the separated expansions are known as Jiva Tattva. Although the Jiva's living entities are part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they are still counted among his multipotencies. This is fully described by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita 7.5. Apareyamita swanyam chakratim vitipe param jiva bhuta mahabhao ye dandharata ye jagat. Besides this inferior nature, O mighty Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mind which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of the material world, of this material inferior nature. Although the living entities are Krishna's parts and parcels, they are Prakriti, not Purusha. Sometimes Prakriti, a living entity, attempts to imitate the activities of the Purusha. Due to a poor fund of knowledge, living entities conditioned in this material world claim to be God. They are thus illusion. A living entity cannot be on the level of Vishnu Tattva or the personality of Godhead at any stage. Therefore, it is ludicrous for a living entity to claim to be God. Advanced spiritualists would never accept such a thing. Such claims are made to cheat ordinary foolish people. The Krishna conscious movement declares war against such bogus incarnations. The bogus propaganda put out by people claiming to be God has killed God consciousness all over the world. Members of the Krishna conscious movement must be very alert to defy these rascals who are presently misleading the whole world. One such rascal, known as Paundraka, appeared before Lord Krishna, and the Lord immediately killed him. Of course, those who are Krishna's servants cannot kill imitation gods, but they should try their best to defeat them through evidence of Shastra, authentic knowledge received, received through the disciplic succession.
So here the point is made that Jiva, the living entity, also, although it is a part of the internal potency, but qualitatively it is same as the Supreme Lord, the qualitatively, but quantitatively we are very minute. That is Anu and Vibhu it is compared. Vibhu means long, and it's like ocean and drop of ocean water. Drop of ocean water is also salty. Ocean is ocean, entire mass of ocean water is also salty. But drop and ocean are not in comparison. Similarly, living entities are parts and parcel, but nonetheless, there is no point, never ever will the living entity be in quantity or be equal to the Supreme Lord. He is always a servant, he is always remains a subservient. Unfortunately, in this material world, those who are here, Prabhupada says, bogus propaganda, people, human beings, living entities claim to be God, and because of the world of the cheaters and the cheated, there are so many followers for him who do not want to follow the actual Lord Shri Krishna, and they follow such human beings telling that he is Lord. So the Paundraka example is given in the Krishna book, where during Krishna's time also suddenly a news had come that one there is another Krishna who is there, and that Krishna is telling that I am the original Krishna. The one of Nandan Krishna is not original, and he had his face paint for blue, and he had four hands, and he also was holding a flute and standing. And when Lord Krishna, our actual Krishna, goes, and that time also he was still claiming to be Krishna, and then Krishna kills him. But when it comes to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela, during Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela, Balabhadra Bhattacharya was his servant, and this Balabhadra Bhattacharya, uh, that time it was not Balabhadra. When he came to Vrindavan, it was not Balabhadra, it was Balabhadra Bhattacharya was his servant, and during the Vrindavan Leela, the 2 months Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lives in Vrindavan. That time, one day, what happens? Now, this Balabhadra Bhattacharya has traveled from Bengal with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, uh, and they have walked and they have reached, after many many days, they have reached Vrindavan, and in the on the way they had met uh, means many people they meet and they walked out. So means constantly Balabhadra Bhattacharya is with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. After all that, in Vrindavan, once there was a news where people are coming and telling during the night, Krishna is playing, dancing on the hoods of Kalia, and that we can all see on the banks of the Yamuna or in the Yamuna water somewhere. Krishna is dancing on the hoods of Kalia. And our Balabhadra Bhattacharya, in the late night, he is leaving the house of where they were staying. And Mahaprabhu is like, where are you going? And the Balabhadra Bhattacharya told that, I am going to see Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you're going to see Krishna? He said, in Kali Yuga, Krishna does not appear. No, but everybody has told that every night he comes to Yamuna to dance on the hoods of of Kalia. So that is the kind of illusion we can get into, even though physically we are closely associated. Now we are closely associated with the process of Krishna consciousness, with the name of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which is not different from Krishna. But sometimes the external energy can influence us so much that we also can get into a situation where we consider ourselves to be God, or we consider some other human being to be God, rather than considering the Supreme Lord as Supreme Lord. And at that time, but actually what had happened in Vrindavan is, one fellow, he was doing fishing in a boat, and he had a lantern on the top, and because of that shadow, it was appearing that sometimes in the shadow we can see something dancing and all that. So it was appearing that it was the hood of Kalia and he was dancing, or some movement we could see because of that reflection of the light of the lantern in the darkness, and people consider it as Krishna dancing on the Kalia. So that kind of rumors have happened during Krishna's time, during Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, and in nowadays in the current world, what is happening is very much false propaganda is happening. And so Prabhupada is telling that we, as representatives of the Krishna consciousness movement, should be very clear about our philosophy ourselves. And so when anybody talks to us, we should be able to defend it very clearly. Okay, we'll go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Sorry, Mataji, for interrupting. Can I just ask a doubt because I'm sort of stuck here?
Yes,
Radhika here. Mataji, this particular thing which they saw may be an illusion, but actually they are seeing Krishna only, no, Mataji. Isn't that a part of devotional service? Because they are not telling they are God, nor are they telling it is fake, right? So sometime when we also see an image, we'll think, oh, this is God, or this is like God. So they are not talking about themselves, no, Mataji. Isn't that they are relating Krishna to every shadow?
No, the point is the understanding is not means considering some third object as Krishna.
Okay.
Understood.
It is okay. Understood. They misunderstand something else to be Krishna altogether, which is not Krishna.
Which is not Krishna. And without the right understanding. See, now we understand Krishna. When we see the deity of Krishna, we understand him as Krishna through an understanding, to the right understanding. But seeing something and considering that as Krishna, that's the wrong understanding. That is, suppose somebody worships a tree and telling the tree is the Lord. Now he is not telling he is the Lord, he's telling that tree is the Lord, but then that is not the right understanding also.
Here, ma'am. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Sorry for interrupting.
So you are RAD, yeah?
Sorry, Mataji?
RAD I can see on the participant.
Me only, me, Radhika Rasna. Laziness today.
Okay. So Padmini, who is next who has raised their hand to read? Radhika Mataji, you can only read it.
I'll do it. Sei vibhinam shajiva duita prakara eka nitya mukha eka nitya samsara. Translation by Srila Prabhupada Vijay. The living entities, jivas, are divided into two categories. Some are externally liberated, others are externally conditioned.
Eternally, externally.
Oh, so sorry. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Yeah. So the living entities are divided into categories. Some are eternally liberated and other eternally conditioned. So Nitya Siddhas and Nitya Baddhas, we call it also. It is what they have written here. Nitya Mukta, eternally liberated, and Nitya Samsara, perpetually conditioned. They are also called as Nitya Baddhas and Nitya Siddhas. Nitya Siddhas are eternally liberated, eternally conditioned. So who else? Swati Mataji. Yes, next Swati Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes.
Nitya Mukta Nitya Krishna Charane Unmukha Krishna Parishada Nama Bunje Seva Sukha. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Mataji, can you scroll up?
Yeah. Why it is going there? Yes.
Those who are eternally liberated are always awake to Krishna consciousness, and they render transcendental loving service at the feet of Lord Krishna. They are to be considered eternal associates of Krishna, and they are eternally enjoying the transcendental bliss of serving Krishna. Hare Krishna Mataji.
In the Nitya Siddha category, we have the Shad Goswamis, we have Srila Prabhupada, we have our spiritual masters, and we have all the great devotees of the Chaitanya Maha, Lila. All those great devotees are Nitya Siddhas. Why they are called Nitya Siddhas? Because they are eternally rendering transcendental service to the Lord, and they are always the associates, and they are eternally enjoying the transcendental bliss of serving Krishna. That is very important. We as very not so insignificant living entities also, when we engage ourselves in devotional service, or when we have rendered some service, like some festival is there, some service, some cooking service, some cleaning service, some service, or when some participating in kirtan, or some service we have been given, or when we include ourselves in plucking service, flower garland making, whatever, big to small, when we engage ourselves in that service, that element of bliss is experienced. If we are little conscious and if we are sincerely focused and prayerful while executing that service, that this service I am rendering to the Yugal Krishna, to the transcendental lords, Lord Shri Krishna and Shri Radhika, if that consciousness is there while rendering that bit of service, we get that transcendent kind of bliss we experience. That is nothing but the transcendental bliss. And the difference between us and the Nitya Siddhas is Nitya Siddhas are eternally consciously engaged in the transcendental loving sense of Krishna, and they're eternally experiencing the transcendental bliss. That happiness, the eternal bliss, that internal happiness, they're eternally experiencing. That is the difference between them and us. So when Prabhupada is engaging us in transcendent, in devotional service, the bit of service we do, that bit of bliss we get. So we are engaged in service throughout by chanting, starting from chanting to kirtan, to shravana, to kirtana, through whatever small to big service. When we are engaged consciously, that share of bliss we get. So we are more time we are engaged in the devotional service, that much time we can be in transcendental bliss in serving Krishna. So that is the difference between sadhana bhaktas and nitya siddhas. They are always 24 by 7 engaged. We, when we do service, we get engaged. Other times, we tend to get influenced by the external energy. More we get separated from service, and sometimes we see we do 10 to 1, we have some service we do. Then after 1 o'clock, we are completely engaged in some material activity. At that time, full body, mind, soul is engaged in that material activity. But a Nitya Siddha, what he will do is, he will be 10 to 1 in proper service, and later part, although he's conducting some meetings or he's planning for some program, something, he is always conscious of Krishna. He's always conscious of Krishna, is all his activity. Apparently, it may look as external activity, but he's conscious of Krishna. That is the main difference, and that is what we need to aspire to. That is whatever uh, uh, what you call prescribed duties we are doing in our life. We need to occupational duties we are doing, we are supposed to do, we do it. And in all that process, constantly remember Krishna, constantly remember that Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada has given the apt name, being conscious of Krishna. So then that is, so Prabhupada said, no, anybody can become a Nitya Siddha in one moment. That is what he was trying to say, that just how much we want to put ourselves in the thought of Krishna throughout our actions, and always considering what pleases Krishna, and doing only those activities that pleases Guru, Krishna, Vaishnavas. And we have all the list that not offending, being tolerant, all this. And when you're conscious about all these small to big details, then we are also Nitya Siddhas. That's all. That much only we are away from being Nitya Siddhas. Not necessarily that in this life it is impossible. We have to take birth in somewhere special place in order to become Nitya Siddha. It's not like that. That process is already given to us by Srila Prabhupada. Okay, next Padmini Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Nitya Baddha Krishna Haite Nitya Bhari Mukha Nitya Samsara Bhunje Narakadi Dukha. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Apart from our liberated devotees, there are conditioned ever liberated devotees. There are the conditioned souls who always turn away from the service of the Lord. They are perpetually conditioned in this material world and are subjected to the material tribulations brought about by different bodily forms in hellish conditions. Thank you, Mataji.
We have so much experience of such people in our day-to-day life. So many our relatives, so many people are there. They consider we are mad people because we are running to temple on Sundays, but they are so much suffering in their world. They are so much caught up. Some are apparently successful in their so-called business or whatever. Still, they are miserable. Those who are not successful are completely miserable. and they are simply fighting mental torture, physical torture. So much money is there, but there is no peace. And we are very happy chanting Hare Krishna. They are considering us as mad people, but they fall into this category actually. Sadhana bhaktas for us, what we experience bliss, but sometimes we choose to be in little material world there. But we know that no, here we are not happy. Then we have to run back to Krishna. Then we go there, and then sometimes we get attached to this material thing, and we are like that, like this, like this, like this, like this. We become. Still, we know that when we are suffering, we know that there is a shelter, and run back to the shelter, and then we spend some time there and come back. This is still a okay position compared to the people who are completely illusioned, completely drowned in the material world, absolutely directionless and absolutely running, and so much of mental torture. Nobody is happy actually. They don't even know what is happiness, and they don't even know what is the source of happiness, and they condemn people who are seeking or having such happiness. So they are actually eternal nitya baddhas is what has been mentioned here. Okay, next who wants to read?
May I, Mataji, again?
Yes,
No,
yes,
what are
yes.
they? Say se maya pisachi danda kare tare आध्यात्मिका दीतापात्राया tare jari mare. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Due to his being opposed to Krishna consciousness, the conditioned soul is punished by the witch of the external energy, Maya. He is thus ready to suffer the threefold miseries brought about by the body and mind, the inimical behavior of other living entities, and natural disturbances caused by the demigods. Thank you,
Basically,
Mataji.
here
Hare
we are
Krishna.
talking about Adi Bhautika, Adhyatmika, Adi Bhautika, and Adi Daivika kleshas. So, unfortunately, the conditioned soul is punished. Now, we being here, we may also experience Adi Daivika, Adi Bhautika, Adhyatmika kleshas also. That is because we are part of the material world only. But in any situation, we know the hand of Krishna. We see still the light of Krishna consciousness. We know that why this is what it is and where we are and what is how to come out of some idea we have. But there are people simply suffering and they feel that this is what life is. He is suffering, neighbor is suffering, they are also suffering. I'm also, what big deal about it? And they just go on. One day after another, one day after another, they just waste their life. Swati Mataji.
Hare Krishna. क्रोधेरा दासा हानतरलतिकाया भ्रमिते भ्रमिते यदि साधु वैद्यपाया तांड्र उपदेश मंत्रे पिशाची पालाया कृष्ण भक्ति पाया तबे कृष्ण निकटयाया. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. In this way, the conditioned soul becomes the servant of lusty desires, and when these are not fulfilled, he becomes the servant of anger and continues to be kicked by the external energy, Maya. Wandering throughout the universe, he may by chance get the association of devotee physicians whose instructions and hymns make the witch of the external energies flee. The conditioned soul thus gets into touch with devotional service to Lord Krishna, and in this way he can approach nearer and nearer to the Lord. Hare Krishna. Mataji.
Yeah,
Should I read purport?
yes, yes.
Purport. An explanation of verses 8 through 15 is given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Amrita Pravaha Bhashya. The Lord is spread throughout the creation in his quadruple expansions and incarnations. Krishna is fully represented with all potencies in each and every personal extension, but the living entities, although separated expansions, are also considered one of the Lord's energies. The living entities are divided into two categories: the eternally liberated and eternally conditioned. Those who are ever liberated never come in contact with Maya, the external energy. The conditioned souls are
Ever
always under
conditioned souls.
the The ever conditioned souls are always under the clutches of the external energy. This is described by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita 7.14. Dairyesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya. This divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. The Nityabaddhas are always conditioned by the external energy, and the Nityamuktas never come in contact with the external energy. Sometimes an ever liberated personal associate of Supreme Personality of Godhead descends into this universe just as the Lord descends. Although working for the liberation of conditioned souls, the messenger of the Supreme Lord remains untouched by the material energy. Generally, ever liberated personalities live in the spiritual world as associates of Lord Krishna, and they are known as Krishna Parshada, associates of the Lord. Their only business is enjoying Lord Krishna's company, and even though such eternally liberated persons come within this material world to serve the Lord's purpose, they enjoy Lord Krishna's company without stoppage. The ever liberated person who works on Krishna's behalf enjoys Lord Krishna's company through his engagement. The ever conditioned soul, provoked by lusty desires to enjoy the material world, is forced to transmigrate from one body to another. Sometimes he is elevated to higher planetary systems, and sometimes he is degraded to hellish planets and subjected to the tribulations of the external energy. Due to being conditioned by external energy, the conditioned soul within the material world gets two kinds of bodies, a gross material body and a subtle material body composed of mind, intelligence, and ego. Due to the gross and subtle bodies, he is subjected to the threefold miseries: Adhyatmika, Adibhautika, and Adidaivika. Miseries arising from body and mind, other living entities, and natural disturbances caused by demigods from higher planetary systems. The conditioned soul, subjected to the threefold material miseries, is ceaselessly kicked by Maya, and this is if by chance he meets saintly person who works on Krishna's behalf to deliver conditioned souls, and if he agrees to abide his order, he can gradually approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. Hare Krishna Mata. Thank you.
So again here in detail, again it is explained about the position of Nitya Baddha and Nitya Siddhas. And Nitya Siddhas, Prabhupada, or we can say the Shadava Swamis, they all come into that category where they, although they are always part of Krishna Loka, and they just get into this material to deliver other Nitya Baddhas. And when they are in presently situated in the material world, they are always engaged in the transcendental loving service of Krishna, eternally happy. That is situation of Nitya Siddhas. And Nitya Baddhas who have closed their eyes, have turned their face away from Krishna, eternally tortured. Sometimes they realize, many times they don't realize, and they are constantly tortured by Adi Bhaudik, Adhyatmik, and Adi Daivika kleshas, and they are tossed and pushed and kicked and by Maya, and helplessly they still go into that same path. So they are the situation of the Nitya Dadas. But when a devotee of Krishna, or when a devotee of Krishna, when these eternally conditioned souls get in touch with the devotee of Krishna, like we all got in touch with the devotee of Krishna, who is a representative of Srila Prabhupada, then their life can change. That is the reason Prabhupada so much emphasizes on preaching, on distribution of his books, because we all have come through the mercy of some or the other devotee. We may not be in touch with Krishna, we are not in touch with the six Goswamis, we are not directly in touch with Srila Prabhupada also, but through a representative of Krishna, we got this precious process of Krishna consciousness through understanding, through hearing, through friend, through Shravanam, through Kirtan, through attending some courses, something connected to Krishna consciousness, and then that Krishna consciousness within us got triggered, and today we are able to at least appreciate this process. So that fortune which we have got, we should be very happy. Must be very convinced, conscious about following, being sincere, make our life perfect. and consciously be a little compassionate and try to share it with others. This is what Srila Prabhupada expects. This is what Gurus and Vaishnavas and the leaders expect from our small to big ways. First is showing by one's good example, and when there is an opportunity to share it with others. Thank you very much. Grantra Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very
Hare Krishna
much.
Mataji, thank you. Dandavat Pranam.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhayavacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo ananta koti vaishnavavrinda Srila Prabhupada.
Mataji, I have a question, Mataji.
Yes.
So when we die, supposing somebody becomes a ghost, right? Due to his, if he commits suicide or for some reason or another, he has no body, he has a subtle body, right? Because when we die, the mind, intelligence, and the ego goes, right? Then do they get mind, intelligence, and ego in that subtle body?
I don't know exactly what it is. What I understand is they don't have gross body. That mind intelligence is still active. So they are always in misery because they want to enjoy through some body. Only see, we have a mind, but we enjoy only through the body. No, mind gives the ideas only. This you eat, that you go, there you go. But body should go and then satisfy. Na? They don't have a body. That is completely torture. It is complete torture, it is said. That ghost life where mind is very active, like our mind only, but no means to enjoy. So sometimes those who are very gross into negativity, they unfortunately, those ghostly personalities take shelter of such kind of people, like that they said. And in Prabhupada time also.
Nataji, how do they get ego? Ego. Oh, mind intelligence, I can understand. How does the ghost get ego?
At exact details, I don't know. But understanding is subtle bodies take shelter of a gross body. To enjoy the ego, so to show off its egoism, it needs a body. I'm proud. To show off something, I need a body for that. Otherwise, simply if I'm thinking I'm ego, what's the point? So that time, sometimes, unfortunately, some people, these kind of entities take shelter, and sometimes they're ghostly, they're covered over by some ghosts, like that they call them. In Prabhupada's time also some women, and after it also I heard some woman, one person was behaving something off, and then when they chanted, that time she became really normal, and then it is told that where there is chanting, ghosts cannot survive, like that. It is so much I don't know, but something like that.
Okay, thank you, Mataji.
All right, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you
We
so
will
much,
leave now.
Yes, Mataji, I'll end the meeting. Hare Krishna.